But don't be ashamed if you get confused when you talk to your friends or you watch the news. They try to tell you where it all went wrong. Now you don't need to argue, just sing this song. It was rich people stacking the deck, rich people with big fat checks, rich people, they're having a ball, rich people been us all.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yeet the Rich. I am Emily Walsh, and I am here with my co-host and husband, Danny Moss.
Buongiorno. We ate Italian today. I think that's
I don't know.
the only reason I had that.
As the rude children on my Instagram say when they don't like one of my jokes, that ain't it.
That ain't it. Fair.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot.
Yeah, I bet. It's because they're not being mean, but it does cut you to the core.
Oh, no, it's this ain't it.
Oh, this ain't it.
This ain't it. And I just say,
I don't know what it
sorry.
is, but this is not it.
Not it.
Fair.
Our baby.
Are you kidding me?
It's been an hour.
You're right. It just feels.
No, it feels targeted.
Yeah.
She's targeting us.
She's absolutely targeting us.
Yeah. Okay, this is the third time
Yeah.
we're starting this episode.
Yeah,
I think
it's,
this is the time. I think we're going to get it.
This is going to be the one.
I think this is going to be the one.
Yeah. I don't know where that 2-minute little blurb left off.
We didn't even start talking about the episode. We didn't even do.
No.
We didn't do nap talk. We didn't do beverage chat.
I know. what are we doing? The nap talk is chaotic.
Yeah. No.
She took a great nap, but it was only like 15 minutes long, and it could have been a little.
Could have been better.
Could have been better.
And you said 15. It was 50.
Oh well, yeah. I meant 50.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this is the third time. I don't think we're doing anything with the 5 minutes we recorded the first time, literally at 3 a.m. But we tried to record this episode at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
last week, and the second we were like, all right, everybody, she was like, "Wah!"
Yeah, and then she screamed from 3 a.m. to
like 5. It was awesome.
Dope.
But yeah, so we're trying this again. We're gonna wrap up this series.
Yeah, here we go. This is the
I'm
end, baby.
on my second coffee. You're on your third.
That's right.
Coffee.
That's right. No big.
I've also had some coconut water today, so she's a hydrated queen.
we were up a little late last night.
A little bit.
Having big adventures.
A little bit. A little bit.
I don't know if we want to disclose the
I mean,
big
you
adventures.
can't. I feel weird bragging about it.
Okay. So, no big deal. I just happened to be married with somebody that performed on the stage at Radio City Music Hall a sold-out
musical.
Oh, sold-out audience. It was insane. It was a wild thing. I was so excited to be there and watch. Emily absolutely crushed it.
It was very fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was very fun. I feel very lucky to have done it. I feel very fulfilled by it, and I feel very tired.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why, with all of these other things that have been happening, with Frankie deciding that she needed new teeth and she needed them immediately.
So many teeth.
But we've also been prepping for this show for a little while, so it took a lot out of us.
Yeah.
By we, I mean mostly Emily, because I just was there giving thumbs up and
you
laughing.
were the other one.
I was the other one.
Giving back rubs.
Giving back rubs.
Getting coconut waters.
Water.
Yeah. But I am excited to wrap this series up. I'm excited to get started with my series.
Yep.
So let's go, man.
Yeah. I guess we should get right on into it.
2 coffees, 2 naps.
Yeah, and then
Fifth
we're ready to
episode.
go. Full disclosure, this probably didn't need to be a 5-episode series. I am
Let's
bad
wrap
at book
it up
reports,
then.
but we're gonna wrap it up. So
Let's wrap it up then. And next week we will get into something else.
Something else, but something exciting. Okay, so last week we talked about some rumors around John Hopkins. We talked about kind of the darker side of the Black community's fears about night doctors and scientific testing, going all the way back to some like slave owners doing some real spooky stuff that is really awful.
Good. Nothing
good there. We also talked about the beginning of the debate around ownership of genetic material and cellular cultures. So biological matter began being patentable. And so that kind of opened a whole thing. It does feel spooky. Yeah, we also discussed John Moore and his 22-pound spleen.
Yes, and his
That
doctor
guy.
who kept demanding he come
Yeah,
back
he was like,
to
oh, you just need
California.
another screening. He was, because he was living in like Utah or
Seattle?
something.
Oh, I don't know.
Seattle.
I
You're
mixed
right.
him
You're right.
Oh, well, look at me.
Um,
Critical listener.
there you
Emily
go.
Walsh.
So that was great, and the doctor was also enriching himself, becoming like having multi-million-dollar
Marketing it.
deals.
Because that's the thing. And
Yeah.
somebody actually commented on our, I think, first episode
Yeah,
on YouTube and was like, I'm a medical student. Like, I don't see the problem. And I'm like, I see where you don't see the problem
Right.
with the basic premise. But she also, the commenter did say, as long as they give consent, which we've talked a lot about, she didn't give
Yeah.
consent to this.
and the poster was talking about like the standard at the time, which yes, but also like
Yeah, but also I don't think that anybody who holds that opinion has a full understanding of this aspect of it, of the
Right.
like companies born out of it. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
and
know,
the-
even knowing what the book was about, knowing the concept of it, being like, oh, these cells, she didn't give consent. This is the part that's really,
Yeah.
to me, the podcast aspect of what we're talking about, like creating these businesses without the consent or participation of the
Yep.
people who contributed their body matter is horrible.
yeah, and it's like we talked a few episodes ago of being like you should go back and just like cite your sources,
just
like
let
do
them
something.
know, give
and we were
them
like
some money.
nobody's ever gonna do that, but
Yeah.
they should, they should.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that this case in particular, it's just so starkly like, that's pretty messed up because because of how big and how important
How
and how
widespread,
massive scale the manufacturing of her cells still is. The fact that like, her family was still living without being able to pay for her healthcare is nuts.
Yeah, that's
So,
really,
Um,
yeah. Compensate people.
yeah. Or
Crazy, crazy thought. Pay them for stuff.
that could be great. Like if you're like, oh man, this amount of money feels too good to be true. It probably means
It
you have enough
is.
money to give the people that
Nobody needs 3 boats.
Nobody needs.
You
3
can
votes.
convince me you need 2.
Yeah,
They have different uses.
That's right.
You cannot convince me you need 3,
no. Mm-mm.
unless one is a kayak.
Yeah, well, you can have a canoe if you want. I
That'll
guess,
slide.
If you do a little.
Man-powered boats, you can have as many as you want.
That's right. Sure.
If you're the man
yeah, if you're the man.
or
I mean,
woman or person.
How do you feel about sailboats? Too many sailboats? That's
'cause
wind powered.
But
so.
sailboats are immensely expensive to upkeep.
Yeah, true. True that.
They're immensely
most boats are.
expensive. That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
don't need 3.
That's
If
fine.
you want a sailboat and a powerboat, those are your 2 boats.
Those are your boats. There you go.
That's
and
the
then
boat law.
you can have a couple of dinghies. Those are just for fun.
Those don't count.
Those don't count.
Dinghies are not boats.
Dinghies
They
are not
float.
boats. Yeah, or
They're
ships.
not ships,
Ships.
but sailboats are not ships. Welcome to
Art?
Nautical Talk with Moss and Walsh. They don't know what they're
We're
talking
failing about sailing over here. Watch out.
I keep seeing this meme and I really agree with it. And it was like the problem with liberals is none of us have friends with boats.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the wealth.
Yeah.
And the only people we do know with boats that we've gotten on the boat has been people who were like, my parents own the Republican. They own the
They
boat.
own
I
the
don't
boat.
own the
Yeah,
boat.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. You did get invited onto a lot of boats at that like town's
Oh, yeah,
celebration
but
party,
those
yeah.
people do not vote the way we do. They certainly
Yeah.
do not.
Yeah. We do have friends with pools, so I think that's
That's
the
a
lower
pretty good step.
Same good step, but it's
step.
a tier down. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. So if you're cool and you have a boat, let us
Yeah,
know.
let us know. We can talk about
Becoming boat
why
friends.
owning one more boat would probably be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they get 2.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I just assumed that
They already had two.
our friend with the boat already had 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fancy friend. Good for them.
Okay, so after talking about this doctor who was, sneakily harvesting samples from this guy for like 7 years, we talked about the years-long legal fight over the ownership of that cell line. Eventually, the court ruled that once discarded, a patient no longer has any ownership over that matter. However, they did say that doctors had the responsibility to disclose any financial upside.
So even a sample that the doctor removed for science,
yeah.
it said they were going to discard, but if they used it for money,
That lawsuit
okay.
said it was okay.
Wow.
And then afterwards, that lawsuit was basically like, hey.
So what are we supposed to do? Bring Tupperware containers to
That's
our
right.
doctor's
Yeah.
appointments?
You
Like,
gotta
give it
bring-
all to me.
yeah.
Give it to
Excuse me. I brought my vacuum sealer. I would
Yeah.
like it
Give
in
me
there,
whatever
please.
you pull out of my body.
Yeah, I actually have my personal supply of formaldehyde. I brought it along with me.
I've got a creepy jar to store that in.
Yeah, exactly.
Please give me my teeth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Or give me $1 million right now.
Yeah, either one is fine.
Yeah, but
Where's my elbow?
yeah, I don't know.
We'll never know.
Yeah, maybe your elbow is out there growing more bone all the time.
It grew some bone.
It did grow some bone pretty
Grew
quickly.
a marble they took out. I want that too.
Yeah.
Where's that?
I don't know. It's probably cool. But there are this actual and we'll get into it a little at the end of this episode, but there are a lot of lawsuits going on right now where the estate of Henrietta Lacks is suing various pharmaceutical companies that their business model is based around using Hela cells, and they've been walking away with some pretty big settlements. I mean, they are completely undisclosed, but I can only assume that they are at least
Doing pretty good.
reasonable enough that they were like, this is good enough for us.
We'll take this.
But the tough thing about all that is like, I want them to get paid. I want them to get their money because they deserve some money. However, because it's a settlement, it doesn't create any new precedent.
There's no justice
There's
or
no
precedent.
law.
It's just
There's no
money.
like we're not actually fixing the bigger systemic issue. Like
We're
need
just
to like
paying off the most offended person with the most time and resources to fight the problem.
Right. And I don't think it should be their job to fix, to like go through the fight of making it to happen, getting it all the way through all of the courts. Because once, just like we saw with this case, it was like it finished one way and then they appealed it and then finished the other way and they appealed it again. And then it went all the way up to the California Supreme Court. And that takes years and years and years, money that they didn't have. I mean, now they have more, but I think it's just a thing where it's like it kind of calls upon us as like citizens to actually, if we hear somebody trying to make a law to help rectify this or like help make sense of this thing, because I think genetic material ownership, like cell lines, things like that, like the fact that you can make so much money from genetic material is kind of like the internet. It's kind of like Facebook. It's kind of like social media, where it's moving and changing so fast that we don't know how to.
It's too hard to legislate.
The forefathers didn't write it into the thing, and we now have to go back and kind of work it in.
And also, the American justice system is based on like sue first.
Yeah. It's based on like shareholder,
Yeah.
Thing above like actual honest, people and justice and any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's
Another
one of
uplifting
our recurring soapboxes. What else? We also talked more about how the family was affected by learning about Henrietta's semi-immortality.
I mean, we ended the last episode. I was ready for them to storm the gates. What are we doing?
Yeah,
let's go.
Let's storm some gates. Okay, so our source once more: The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot, 2010.
And this is the last episode of this series. No matter where we are in 90 minutes, we're going to stop.
I also read a bunch of articles about the lawsuits that are ongoing that I'm going to put in the show notes, but I'm not going to list them all here. Most of them are like, Henrietta Lacks' relatives get money. Good. So
yeah. Colon, good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now that Henrietta's name is out, more and more articles and books began exploring Hela and the woman behind the cells. So very few of these reporters and writers discuss any of their writing with the actual family of Henrietta, and either they don't know about them, they don't know that they still exist, like it's like 50 years later, so there is an assumption that like, they just don't have a connection with this woman anymore, or they just don't really care as much about the human aspect. Because a lot of the books are much more like what the science was doing, like based around the use of the Hela cells for polio and all that other stuff.
Because it's brought a lot of advancements, so they're talking about the advancements.
And that's what they, the people that know most about Hela cells are also the people most interested in, scientific testing,
benefiting from them scientifically,
because the average person until this has started kind of coming into pop culture in a way. Most people that know about Hela come from a science background, so it kind of makes sense. But it's also like there's a lot of stuff that make it into these books that later the family's like, how did you get those pictures? And you were clearly reading the medical records. We never gave you access to those medical records. How did you get in there? And either again, it's like HIPAA didn't exist, and like there was general sense of ethics around like, giving out patient information, but it was still very nebulous, and none of it was a rule.
It's like any type of thing you're trying to legislate or be the boss of.
Yeah.
We have all these assumptions that people will just do the quote unquote right thing.
Sure.
That there isn't a law or rule in place. And also, again, it's moving so fast that they can't write these laws and create these rules until they're like, wait a second. Like the reason there's a sign that says don't pee in the pool is because enough people peed in the pool.
Somebody peed in the pool. Somebody put that toaster.
Everybody tried to assume that they didn't. Yeah, exactly.
In the bathtub, yeah.
Yeah, everybody assumed nobody would ever do that. And then somebody did. And they were like, well, here's the sign.
Here's the sign.
Stop putting pee in our ool.
Yeah. No pee in the ool, please. And that's what we're doing we need that sign for genetic testing, the pee in the ool sign.
Did you ever, as a kid, hear the I actually don't know if this is real, and I constantly wonder about it. The purple, the dye in the pool that's going to show if you peed in it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's real or not.
Because I've never seen it.
I've seen it, I feel like there was like a movie or a TV show.
Okay, but not in person. You've been in a pool.
Yeah.
People,
because
they're peeing.
Constantly peeing in pools,
Are you?
No.
Gross. But people are, and babies and toddlers are.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like I would have seen
babies
it.
and toddlers totally are. Yeah. There's no stopping them.
Literally.
And they don't have
those diapers
pants.
Don't work for them. Yeah. I'm just confused. I don't know.
It feels like a myth that somebody spread.
If anyone's experienced it, let me know. It works.
Maybe it's a social experiment.
Sometimes if I'm a little high in a pool,
I'm like, huh.
I'm not even thinking about peeing. I just literally am like, what if I peed a little bit and everyone saw it? What if what if there's a spot of pee somewhere?
Yeah, and then you get so scared you pee your pants anyways.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang it.
It's something I think about more than I'd like.
Yeah, I hear you.
If I'm being honest.
In 1985, a book called A Conspiracy of Cells by Michael Gold was published. The book was about the efforts to stop Hela contamination of all of the other cellular cultures. The book quoted heavily from Henrietta's medical records, and it was inside that book that Deborah, Henrietta's daughter, learned the exact nature of her mother's cancer and kind of more graphic stuff about how her mother passed away. Because she's Deborah has been ever since she found out that she was semi-alive or part of her was still alive, she's been really digging into trying to learn more about her mother,
right.
And find out as much as she can. So she'll read these books or read these articles, and then she just gets surprised with some really graphic, harsh stuff. So it's she wants to learn more about her mother, but she doesn't really she's looking for what her favorite color was and things about her mother
in these books.
As opposed to how excruciating the last days of her life was.
Yeah.
And so to come across that as one of your primary sources early on was harsh.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's experienced loss, I'm sure if you were told hey, there's all these articles and books, you might learn something about the person you lost, you're going to read them.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with the consequences of that.
Well, and because this is a medical journal or a book, that is medical and science based, they pretty graphically described the autopsy process.
Oh,
and
God.
It's just
oh, that's very upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really rough for Deb.
Not great
for Deborah. So after reading that part of the book, Deborah broke down for days, imagining all of the pain that her mother must have been in. Henrietta's sons, up to this point, had been pretty mad at John Hopkins specifically. That's specifically where they were pointing their kind of anger, because
that's where it all started.
It's where it all started, but they also were because it's as big as it is, surely John Hopkins made a lot of money from it. And
you're right. You were saying that they kind of benefited financially the least out of.
Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't patent anything, they gave away all the cells. They clearly got a fair amount of rep from it all.
Sure, some street cred.
So they didn't get nothing out of the whole thing. But the Henrietta's sons didn't really the nuance of all of that was kind of beyond their knowledge. So
and also, how would they know? How would you know? All of this is
it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, I don't understand it right now.
Also,
I don't know their son specifically, but it's really whenever we've had these conversations before we had a kid. And people would not have time to pursue something or they didn't really know or whatever. I would always think to myself, why aren't they more curious?
Yeah.
And now being a parent And obviously, there's so many things that can consume your mind.
Right.
I'm not saying that this is like only if you have a kid, but just the amount of time that we have to just spend being like, don't run down the stairs, don't fall off. Oh, you're,
please
like,
stop trying to eat electricity.
You lose a little part of your curiosity for a little while. You're just like, I gotta just stay alive.
You gotta let some of that stuff go.
Whatever position you're in that's consuming your brain space, I think sometimes you just get. It's like why they talk about politics and like low information voters, because they don't have time. Like you don't have time. You don't have energy.
And I also I don't want to make this connection too strongly, but like if you're having a hard time making ends meet. Like that's the same deal. Like if you're constantly trying to think about how to make enough money
put
to
the next meal on the table,
that you don't have time or money or ambition to be like, oh, I wonder how a clock works.
Let me go to the library and just look up a Steam. I think it's a lot of it. My frustration, I think, is the reason why I say it at all is I feel like a lot of people, like pundits and stuff, will talk about people who don't know things.
Yeah.
And they kind of make it seem like it's willful ignorance. Like they're like, I don't want to know. I'm not curious.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we're trying to survive.
Yeah.
Like,
and like all of you jokers were hired to do the right thing so that they didn't have to think about it.
Yeah, you were supposed to figure this out so that they could just go to their
work
jobs
and go home and
be
raise
with
their
their
family
families,
and assume that you guys are all have their best interests at heart, even though clearly that's not the case.
No,
so.
but we do have a UFC fight on the White House lawn.
Yeah.
So that'll put a turkey on every table. Is that the saying?
It's an AI turkey, though, so you can't really eat it. So up to this point, the Sons were pretty angry and like kind of like demanding stuff from John Hopkins specifically, and writing pamphlets talking about how John Hopkins owed them for
so many pamphlets.
A lot of pamphlets. But up to that point, Deborah had always kind of been really. She'd been like, I just want people to know that it's my mother. Like, I want. She's been doing good.
Give her a,
some people still think it's Helen Lane. Some people still think it's all of these other pseudonyms. But I just want people to know that it's my mother
and appreciate who
she was. But after like reading this book and kind of hearing about how bad it was, she is now also furious and. Is now like really wanting to make sure that full credit is given and that like people know that she didn't donate the cells. Like it's a lot of that kind of like opened a bit of like she's always kind of been she's been very interested in this, but this is like now all of her spare time is kind of spent
consumed with this.
It's consumed with this. So okay, let's talk a little bit about. Some science stuff. We're going to step away from the family a little bit. So in 1984, a German virologist named Harald Zerhausen
Sure,
discovered a new strain of the human papillomavirus, HPV-18. So he believed that this new strain, along with HPV-16, caused cervical cancer. After testing it, it was discovered that these two strains of HPV would insert themselves into the chromosomes of the infected, of the person, turning off what's called the P53 tumor suppressor gene.
Sure.
Which apparently we got a gene that suppresses tumors.
And if you turn it off,
probably
bad.
Not so good.
Probably bad.
This Zerhausen was interested in one of the most famous examples of cervical cancer, Henrietta Lacks and the Hela cells. So he requested a small sample of the original biopsy taken at Johns Hopkins, and he wanted to see if Henrietta's cells contained either HPV-16 or HPV-18, and wanted to make sure that they weren't contaminated in culture over the years. So he wanted like some of the original sample, which he got somehow, I guess. So not only did those cells test positive for HPV-18, they were once again like super infected by multiple different, sub variations of HPV-18. She had it like 6 times or something like that. So I learned through all of this that there are more than 100 known strains of HPV, 14 of them of which are 14.
That's what my doctor told me was 14. But
14 of which are confirmed to cause cervical cancer, anal or penile cancers.
Oh no.
Yeah. So today, around 90% of sexually active adults become infected with at least one strain of HPV, which is, great. But again, a lot of them
clear on their own. Your body
clear
gets
on their
rid
own.
of it.
It gets rid of it. But there are specific strains, and 16 and 18 are particularly virulent and like dangerous as a thing. So Zerhausen and other scientists went on to use Hela to study HPV, discovering how and why it caused cancer, and found a way to block its effects, creating the first HPV vaccine. This discovery would eventually earn Zerhausen a Nobel Prize. Information, cell culturists would eventually learn about different viruses and chemicals that could be introduced in cultures to help create immortal cells in the lab. So this is one of the ways that like a cell culture that you want to, that is like from a natural, that isn't self-replicating on its own in that way. They can get it to self-replicate by giving it, a lot of this virus or a number of other viruses. Henrietta's cells are still incredibly special. It's very, very, very rare for a cell on its own to become immortal in the way that Henrietta's did. So it's like still very particularly special, and like one specific, like so many things had to happen
come together
in
for
order
this
to
to
make this happen. So kind of speaks to the like fate of it all is interesting. So Zerhausen, and HPV, learning about it was like a really important step to dealing with cervical cancer, not dealing with it. But, I was talking to Sarah last night, and she was saying that, like, the vaccine back then only affected the first two, so the 16 and 18, but it is like increasing in number of what it can actually cover.
So I recently had this discussion with a doctor, my doctor, and she was saying that the vaccine only covers 2 of the cancer-causing ones out of 14 and 2 of the non-cancer causing ones out of the rest of the 100.
Okay.
And I was like, why is that? And she was like, science doesn't study women? Like, she basically like alluded to that. And it was kind, she was like, we don't really, but she, I love this lady. We had a great conversation. She drew me a lot of diagrams.
Did you tell her about the podcast? Maybe she'd be a fan.
I should have. Maybe if I have to go back. But she told me one of the most upsetting things about all of this is back when I was in my 20s, the HPV vaccine started getting more popular, but healthcare only covered it until you were 26.
Oh, okay.
And I missed it somehow. I think maybe I turned 26 before, or maybe I didn't have healthcare. I didn't have healthcare for like a year or two because Obamacare didn't exist. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to the doctor for a minute. I didn't get the vaccine. Then I was 27 and they were like, it's too late. You could still do it with money.
Yeah.
But there was a period where I think maybe you couldn't even do it. Now it's offered to 45. I think you can always ask for it.
Yeah.
But the reason that healthcare made it age 26 is that some man at the vaccine company, I don't think this man, but a different man, said that women should get it by 26 because they should be with their last sexual partner by then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sexist and weird.
Yeah. And if they aren't, then they get to die. I guess. They get to get cervical cancer. Like, that's just... Like, who?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
little,
I love those like
the world
arbitrary
is put
things
together by that,
and that like probably didn't get resolved until the last like 5 years.
And also, all the other men there were like, "Yep, sounds right to me." My wife was 25 when I married her. This seems great.
Yeah.
HPV can affect everybody. Get vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, there's also like the polio vaccine being so heavily focused on the kids. There's that aspect of it too, where they were just like, get it to the children first, and then like, eventually everyone will be vaccinated. But all the people that are like, I could still get polio over here, they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually it did open up, but because of the epidemic of it all, they were like spending all of the resources.
I think that kind
early.
of happens with. I mean, that happened with COVID. They were like, everybody old and young and sick gets first, which is what should happen.
Right.
But it is. It takes a while to make.
Yeah.
To make them, but
sure.
Short version: get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated, and also again, let's just look back through those the
reasons.
The thing that was really irked me when you told me about this was that like the 26 thing is also has to do with insurance.
No, they don't pay for
they won't pay for it.
You can pay like
after.
$600 to get it. Now I think I don't know what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
That was. That was 15 years ago, but that's what was happening. And so, of course, I'm not going to spend $600 at the time on something that doesn't, that again, a lot of HPV clears your body anyway. So it's like, well, I don't have this money. That is rent. At that time, that was more than what I was paying for rent in a month.
Right.
That
And
was
that's,
not money
you know,
that I had to get a vaccine.
Public safety thing of like, you could just give them the vaccine too.
Yeah, and then less people will get it.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Wouldn't that be cool?
My doctor was also very intense, and she was like, at this point in America, cervical cancer shouldn't kill anyone. Like, she was like, we have the resources.
Yeah.
Like, this is very frustrating. And
Well, and I
was like,
wonder whether, like, so women under 26 could get it over not, unless you pay for it out of pocket. But, like, do they insure any men getting this? Because it's like, I understand that most men, other than the ones that get penile and or anal cancer,
yes,
are unaffected, but like they're
they can
the
help
carriers.
spread it.
They're
I
like,
know that I'm pretty sure that most medical offices do offer it when you're a parent to teenage boys to just be like, hey, then you can help stop spread it. And also, you don't necessarily know, your kid doesn't necessarily know their orientation at that age, but gay men can get HPV. But it also, I think what my doctor told me, but I guess not, because that's penile cancer is happening to men. But I thought she had said that mostly it just causes warts for gay men. So again, an adult might not be like, let me go get this.
Well, maybe it's still, maybe, I don't know enough about the other forms of cancer
If
formed
you
by
know,
HPV, but let us know, and we'll tell the world. And by the world, I mean
several thousand people.
there you go. Cool. Well, learning new things every day.
Every day. Some of them are bad. All of them are bad. Learn them together with us.
Yeah. And we just, kind of grin through it all. And then it's fun. It's fun.
And then you get an ice cream and you say, just
Yay,
a little treat.
just a little treat. Just need a
to
little
live to
treat.
tomorrow.
Okay, so Hela was also used to study HIV. So normally HIV could only infect blood cells, but they inserted a specific DNA sequence from blood cells into Hela. They were just like, let's just nook that in there. And then HIV was like, yeah, okay, I'll infect that. And then because of how fast Hela replicated, they were able to study the virus at like a much faster scale than they were able to do like
You moved on to HIV, or are you having a typo?
I moved on to HIV.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just like
I
listening.
moved on to
and
HIV. I put,
zero transitions.
zero transitions in there. I was just getting right back into the
transitions,
the notes of it
no
all.
crowd work. Just
well, I did say
facts.
we learn new things every day. Does that not count as a segue?
You know what?
Just we'll roll back the tape later and check that out. But
I'll do it. I edit the video. I'm gonna cut out everything that makes me sound dumb.
Well, if anything makes me sound dumb, you maybe cut that out. Nope, leave that in.
Nope,
okay,
leave that in.
Fair. That's fair.
What you were supposed to say was, you never sound dumb.
Well, that's right.
And then I would have cut out your stuff for you.
Could you cut this out? And I'll be like, Emily, you never sound dumb. So it's probably pretty easy because you don't have to cut anything out.
It's paper trail, leaving it all in.
Oh, boy. Okay, so we're talking about HIV now. It's a different acronym.
Different.
That is
Sounds
also
really
a very
similar to what you were saying.
Dangerous virus. Yeah. So this one, HIV. Again, that virus affects blood cells.
Sure.
Hela is not a blood cell. It's a cervical cell / cancerous cervical cell. And so they tricked the virus into infecting Hela, and that allowed them to do a lot of studying of HIV very fast because because it just kept replicating, and they kept testing possible like cures, possible antigen testing things, all of this stuff. So the viruses, the Hela cells that were infected with this virus actually became kind of a resource because they were able to collect the like antigens from it, allowing them to make a much more accurate antigen test to make sure to see whether anybody had it. It helps, the testing process made it a lot easier because of they just had a ready source of antigens from Hela. So that was good. We're doing another segue here, hard segue.
Grinding those gears.
Grinding the gears, yep. So in 1996, a BBC producer named Adam Curtis began making a documentary about Henrietta Lacks and the Hela cell line. Finally, someone was interested in the human side of the story. So they showed up in Baltimore with like a full production team, cameras, microphones, like an army of assistants, just like rolled into, this small section of Baltimore. At first, Deborah and the family were very excited that someone was finally taking interest in their mother, and that the whole world would finally get to know the actual story behind it. So there's just hours and hours of footage directly with the family. Many of the filmed interviews were taken in front of the home house down in Clover, Virginia. So the place where Henrietta, like, when Henrietta's dad was like, "That's okay, I'm going to drop you off with the family.
I'm going to leave you here."
She said
Yeah.
with her grandfather. So it's a little strange because most of these people's lives were lived in Baltimore, but
What are you going to do?
what are you gonna do?
Need a nice visual, I guess.
Yeah. And Henrietta did go back and continue like working, the tobacco fields periodically in the through those years. But during the documentary filming, Henrietta was being recognized in Atlanta at Morehouse School of Medicine. A man named Roland Patillo, yeah, I think that's right. A man named Roland Patillo, one of George Guy's only black students. So George Guy was the guy who
The guy.
And Roman Patillo was really wanted to honor Henrietta's contribution to science. So he was like, was at least had some direct knowledge of like who Henrietta. Like I don't think he was there for this, like he's not that old. He's not old enough to have been there, but he did study under George Guy, and then from there kind of got more actual direct knowledge. So on October 11th, 1996, he organized an annual Hela Cancer Control Symposium. So that's I should have checked whether it's happening today. It has happened multiple times, but he also petitioned Atlanta to name October 11th Henrietta Lacks Day and invited the family down to accept on her behalf.
That's nice.
Yeah. So Deborah was so excited that her mother was finally going to be recognized and that the world was going to learn about her. The trip was a bit of a mixed bag, however. The family rode down to Atlanta in an RV that Patillo rented, which I think is kind of fun that he was just like, I rented you an RV to drive on down. And, I don't know when RVs were first, it's not, we're talking 1996, so RVs have been around for a little bit. The BBC film crew that was learning about them just followed them down to Atlanta and like filmed them on the road trip. So there's a lot of like road trip footage as well.
We love a montage.
Yeah. For the first time, the Laxes were being treated as celebrities. So they were staying in like a fancy hotel. People were asking for all of their autographs. Deborah gave us
that to get their DNA somehow?
I definitely I feel like the family was like looking at them sideways.
Not.
They very distrustful for good reason.
For great reason.
So Deborah gave a speech. She talked about the surprise of the news, like learning that part of her mother was still alive, saying that it was about time that the world knew who Henrietta Lacks was, and then kind of ending her speech by talking directly to her mother and telling her how much she loved her, missed her, and was proud of her. Like very very touching stuff. And she, Deborah made a number of speeches over the years for her mother. And I don't know, I think it's nice. So after making it back home, the BBC film crew went to Turner Station to talk to the extended Lacks family. There they met a woman named Courtney Speed, the owner of Speed's Grocery. She just so happened to be the co-founder of the Turner Station Heritage Committee, and their mission was to bring attention to black people from Turner Station who had brought good things into the world. And she was like, "Oh,
this is a big one.
This is perfect." Yeah. So the people that living in Turner Station up to this point that they had recognized were a former congressman who had become president of the NAACP, an astronaut, a man who had won several Emmys as the voice of Elmo on Sesame Street from Turner Station, and now Henrietta Lacks. So
Wait, there's a documentary about the Elmo voice man. Is
probably
he Batman?
Maybe is it Batman or? Is it a what?
I said bad.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the flavor of.
allegations of sexual impropriety with minors.
Okay, so maybe we'll just
Dismissed due to the expiration of the statute of limitations.
don't love that.
I didn't think we liked
Kaufman
you.
Astoria Studios has a bit of a theme.
What else happened? The Cosby Show.
Sorry to give you that look.
No. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not great. I bet they honored him before they found out about the allegations.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Sorry to derail.
No,
I
it's
just always
okay.
get a little spidey sense when I'm pretty sure
Is
somebody's
it this
a
guy,
bad man.
Kevin
Clash.
Kevin Clash. All right, where's Kevin
He's
Clash?
not currently Elmoing.
Oh, crud. It's the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, same guy. Same.
I looked it up. It's right here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So there's
There's that.
There's that as well as a piece of the
Sorry to-
story. No, it's okay.
Sorry to add a bummer to this bummer fucking sandwich.
Sorry, I keep bringing bummer fucking sandwiches to the table, but
That's all you've had on offer.
Yeah. I need a less bummery of a sandwich.
Also, it seems like you have a lot of pages left, and it's been 42 minutes already.
Okay. Okay. Let's we'll kick on through. No, it's okay. Courtney Speed and her other co-founders jumped at the news. So they wrote letters to Congress and the mayor's office demanding recognition of Henrietta Lacks' contribution to science. Pretty soon, Turner Station Heritage Committee founded the Henrietta Lacks Health Museum Foundation with Courtney Speed as president. They planned events. They raised money. They made Henrietta Lacks pens and T-shirts with Henrietta's face on them. They began raising money to hopefully build a proper Henrietta Lacks museum right there in Turner Station. Hoping to raise $7 million.
Wow.
I don't think they got at least early on, they definitely didn't get all the way there. But one of their first goals was having a life-sized wax statue of Henrietta made. That they were like very excited about this as a concept.
First of all, first things first. Wax figure.
Wax figure. I think
Start
it's
there.
Yeah.
Go
I mean,
from there.
that one picture, very striking. So if you
No,
waxify that.
I'm not saying don't make it. I'm
Well,
just
that's
saying
expensive than a bronze
first.
statue. You know
Fair.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very fair.
So Deborah was not included in the board of the museum, but was asked to come and speak at various events honoring her mother. At some point, someone suggested to Deborah that she donate Henrietta's Bible and the locks of her mother's hair and her sister's hair that Deborah had in safekeeping.
Why?
They were like, oh, you should donate them to the museum because, like, what if your house burned down? They would be destroyed. But this made Deborah so incredibly anxious.
That makes me feel very strange. And
Yeah.
first of all, we don't know. I don't know if Deborah has kids. Maybe she wants to keep it in the family, or give it to a sibling, or give it to whoever.
These are the only pieces of her mother
But
that she
that's what I'm
has.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, even if she was going to donate them, ask her to leave them when she passes.
Right.
Be like, hey,
Yeah.
would you put it in your... I don't know how you ask that in a polite way,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
would you consider leaving them to the museum? But to be like, hey, we'll take them just in case you burn your house down. Feels
and
crazy.
I suspect that this is probably like a casual remark made to her of being like, oh, it'd be cool to have her Bible
What
here.
if we had that? Wouldn't
but
it be nice?
it was like a real turning point, and for Deborah, like, she got very paranoid about someone trying to come and take them after this moment. So somebody was just kind of like, oh, and she was like, whoa, what are we doing? You're coming for my mother's belongings. So she like immediately ran home and hid them. And then after that, she kind of like was much more suspicious of the like museum foundation generally, of all of them. And like she found out about the bank account and like that was made in her mother's name, and she was furious about that, and she was like, we shouldn't be spending money on big wax statues, we should be spending money, like if you're raising money, we
in
should
her
be giving
name,
it to like her kids who can't afford healthcare.
Yes.
Like that. So
yeah, I agree with that.
so
Healthcare before wax statues. I've
Yeah.
always said that.
Deborah did continue working with Speed and the museum committee, but mostly at this point as a means to an end to learn more about her mother.
You got to stay on the inside track of information.
Yeah, they were doing more research and learning more stuff, and she wanted to know those things. So, okay, so the next big blow to Deborah's confidence and this whole process came after she was contacted by a man claiming to be a doctor and a lawyer, and he could help her family get the money that they deserved. So this is like a classic.
That feels like an ambulance chaser
classic,
to me.
like,
Lawyer with a bus ad.
Oh, yeah. He called himself Dr. Sir Lord Keenan Kester Cofield.
Nope, too many names already.
Yeah.
Too many names.
Yeah.
Nope, immediately no. I've seen what I needed to say.
So he told Deborah that her and her family needed to copyright their mother's name to protect themselves from fraud, which is... He is fraud, so that's fun.
He is fraud. Fraud is he.
And he also said that he believed that Hopkins was guilty of medical malpractice and that they should sue for a portion of all of the money made from the Hela cells. So Cofield made the generous offer that the family would pay him nothing but a percentage of what they were able to earn. So like they didn't pay him anything up front, and that like got his foot in the door. So Deborah didn't understand how or why they would, be able to copyright her mother's name, but they did believe that they were owed money. Her and her brothers believed that they were owed money, and they were like, okay, this seems like a lawyer that we can afford, and he seems motivated, so sure. So they begin introducing Cofield as the family lawyer. He got to work fast, mostly spending his time poring through the archives at Johns Hopkins, doing research. He would come back to the family and then tell them what he had quote unquote found, conveniently confirming the family's worst fears. So he said that he discovered that one of Henrietta's doctors who treated her didn't even have a medical license. Another had been expelled from the American Medical Association. He told them that the family that they had misdiagnosed her mother and may have killed her with an overdose of radiation.
Oh boy.
So, the license thing wasn't real. Like they had their licenses. She did. The radiation did not help.
No.
Cure the cancer, and did. I'm pretty sure substantively,
kill her quicker.
Help kill her faster. But that was also like the way he was painting it. He was basically just telling them what they had kind of assumed about the world in order to pull them into his confidence.
It maliciously,
as
opposed to ignorantly, like
and again, I have a lot of I do not like how the cell sampling and all of this stuff was handled at the time. But these allegations that Cofield was making were specifically to it's like cult stuff. It's like bring them further into his confidance and make it seem like he's the only access to real information by like feeding into their worst fears. So not good. So he started demanding to see Henrietta's medical records and to further document examples of malpractice for the upcoming lawsuit that he was, suggesting. The medical records were the one thing that he couldn't access without permission at Johns Hopkins. So he needed a next of kin to get those files. Deborah agreed to go with him to Hopkins, but luckily when she requested the copy of the files for Cofield, the copy machine happened to be in need of repairs. So they were like, sorry, you can't do it today. We're getting copy repaired. You have to come back later. So Cofield tried to come back on his own to get the documents, but the hospital refused, needing the family member. He tried to push the issue, making the staff kind of suspicious and kind of leery of him. So they looked into his background, and far from being a doctor or a lord or a lawyer, it seemed that Cofield was a con artist who made his money by pushing frivolous lawsuits. He spent years behind bars for just other types of fraud, for doing like fraudulent checks and counterfeiting checks and things like that. So he spent much of his time in jail taking law courses to prepare for his next schemes. So
anybody...
Yeah.
What do you think the percentage of people studying law in prisons is to evade the law versus to get their own justice?
Yeah, I would hope that a lot of it is to get,
But if you hope that means that they were wrongly imprisoned.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Do you hope that?
Well, I guess I
Hard
don't
to
hope
say.
that, but I also do know that there are so many people that are wrongly
that are
imprisoned
doing
based on
research
racial
for a very good reason.
bias and a number of other reasons.
Yeah.
So that's tough, and I guess 50-50 for shenanigans and for
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know.
yeah, hard to say. So while in jail, he sued the jail, the guards, the warden of the prison. He sued McDonald's and Burger King for contaminating his body with poisons from pork
we
fat.
should all do that.
Yeah. He threatened to sue restaurants all over the country for food poisoning, all while he was still behind bars and unable to eat any of that food. He was just like
using a lot of his commissary for stamps.
oh, so much of it.
He
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
He's got some stamp money somewhere.
So he got a local newspaper to run an obituary of him and then immediately sued the newspaper for libel and damages of up to $100 million, which I think is a bold move.
Also, newspapers are not like, I guess the New York Times has money. I don't know. I don't think of newspapers as like the company that you need to get money from.
Yeah, he's throwing anything against the wall to see what would stick.
Sure.
So his next target was Deborah and the Lacks family. So he desperately wanted to get his hands on the medical records. I'm not 100% sure what he was planning on doing with them after the fact, because eventually he got to the point where it felt like he was willing to burn his relationship with the family to get these records.
And then it's like, how do you sue on behalf of them without their involvement and then take the money? I don't know,
very strange.
but I've never done law research in a prison, so.
Yeah, no, nor have I.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Again, some people in there probably doing, trying to figure good stuff out. That's right.
Did he do that? No.
No.
He just started digging.
But there are, he did help people learn how to read that would then go on to
get themselves.
Yeah, try to get themselves up. Yeah. But he couldn't because he was doing crimes for the warden. And so they were,
right.
They were like, even if you found out that you were innocent, I don't care.
Let you leave.
Yeah, which is why that one guy got unalived.
Digging.
Yeah. Check out Shawshank Redemption, my favorite movie.
Weirdly, Danny's favorite movie.
From when I was a child.
He has a twinkle in his eye. That's his favorite film.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Great movie.
So.
Send one to Neho.
Man, I could go for a
Take me away. Yeah.
I also just like a little scavenger hunt in a rock field in the middle of California, where you got to go find a little tiny box from your friend.
Go to the tree and find this note, and that's nice.
That's nice. A red. So when the staff at Johns Hopkins learned who Cofield was, they took immediate steps to protect the family, barring Cofield from the premises and getting Deborah to sign a document refusing all access to him for sensitive files. So when Cofield found out about this, he was furious. He immediately turned around and then started suing the family, suing Deborah, the whole Lacks family, as well as a long list of Johns Hopkins officials. So piles and piles and piles of legal documents began ending up on Deborah's door. She panicked. This is, this hopefully silver bullet that was going to help her family get money and help kind of get to the bottom of some things was clearly a fraud and a mistake. And now she was inundated with all of this stuff that she didn't understand and really stressed her out. And after the Bible thing, her paranoia and skepticism of the world kind of ratcheted up. And this is another tick up on the scale of what to do. So she went to Courtney Speed, believing that the woman from the Heritage Society, believing that she was working with Cofield to take her mother's records and her belongings from her. So she demanded that they immediately turn over any information about her mother and shut down the foundation completely. By this time, the BBC documentary had aired, and her phone was ringing off the hooks with other reporters and people demanding for more information about her mother. So Deborah decided it was time for her, at least, to actually see whether mother's records held at Johns Hopkins. So she went there to get a copy. While there, the staff at Johns Hopkins told her not to worry. They were going to fight Cofield on her behalf as well as theirs, and would make sure that he never got access to her mother's records. And they did do that. They
okay.
So the family, as far as I know, didn't pay legal fees to kind of deal with Cofield stuff. The hospital kind of did that.
Well, that's nice. I guess
that was because there are the Johns Hopkins as an institution does not want to get pulled into this like as a storyline. They don't want their name kind of dragged into it. But there's so many people within Johns Hopkins that want to like over the years want to honor and help and kind of protect the Lacks family. So like there are a lot of like, you know, pieces of it that I think are really, really nice. But as an institution, Johns Hopkins was like no comment, which I think is kind of rough. But
yeah, there's somebody in some office being like, don't talk to them.
Yeah. So, eventually the cases were all finally dismissed, but the whole affair really left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. So before Cofield had, started suing Johns Hopkins, there were some people within the hospital that were trying to properly honor their contributions at Johns Hopkins, but that all got, or like when this all started happening, when it really blew up, they were like, we're going to scrap that. And they never went back to that as an idea, as far as I know. Deborah really couldn't shake the paranoia, so she believed that like Cofield or one of his agents would show up any day to steal her mother's records her Bible or maybe even her own cells to see whether they were useful in like scientific testing. Like
it all feels possible. I know that we're saying she's paranoid, but she has fantastic reasons.
Yes, fantastic reasons, and I just think that like, you know, there were a lot of like myths and things about doctors and science and all of this stuff that were damaging and dangerous to, you know, the Black community and specifically the Lacks family. And like after you learn that your mother is somehow still sort of alive for 50 years, you're like, what is true anymore?
Literally,
I don't know.
Because that sounds like science fiction also. Like it all.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you start getting like con artists kind of getting into the mix and kind of stirring everything up. It's just like, oh boy.
Trust no one.
I feel very strongly for Deborah and the whole family, but like the book focuses a lot around Deborah because her and the author became incredibly close. Yeah. And like they kind of worked together to uncover a lot of these things. But their whole relationship the entire time was it would vacillate very quickly between like full trust and real excitement about like the chase of learning more information about her mother and her older sister, who is part of this story as well. But then she would like all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, are you one of Cofield's people? Are you here for my mother's records? Like, it's all kind of really tragic. And also all of it led to Deborah's like anxiety being incredibly high, her blood pressure being incredibly high. She, you know, did eventually suffer a stroke and have like, she had a very hard part of all of this. And a lot of it was because of the stress and anxiety that she felt. I mean, also her childhood was not. Yeah. It was also very hard. So a few weeks after she got back from that, she was able to leave the hospital from that event was when Roman Patillo, the guy who started the Hela convention, he got contacted by a woman who wanted to write a book about Henrietta Lacks. And that was none other than Rebecca Skloot, the author of our source material.
There you go.
So again, I wouldn't normally talk so much about the author of one of these books because you know they're not normally as like part of the story in the way that she is. But I feel like she had substantive contribution to like Deborah's journey and the story, and you know as a whole. So the author first learned about Henrietta Lacks in 1988 while taking a college biology course at a community college to get high school credit. So she was trying to get some. I think there was something weird where she like didn't pass a class in high school, so then she did summer school and in order to get that class, she like went to a community college, and she was 16 at the time at a listening to a professor lecture and began speaking about cancer and cancer research, and he told the class one of the most important advances in medical science was the discovery of the Hela cell line. He told them all about the Hela cell line, how it was used in science, and that it came from a young Black woman named Henrietta Lacks. The professor talked a lot about like the science of it, about the polio, about all those things that we've already kind of talked about, but there was almost nothing about Henrietta herself. And Rebecca stayed after class wanting to know more, but the professor told her very sadly that not that much was known about her. So from there on, Skloot went on to get a biology degree and then a graduate school degree for writing, hoping to become a reporter specializing in like scientific journalism. All the while, the idea of like Henrietta Lacks never really left her mind. So in her spare time, she would continue doing more research on her, eventually getting the idea to write a book that was a biography of both the cells and the women they came from.
There you go.
So the fact that she heard Henrietta Lacks' name at all was something
Kind of
of a miracle,
for the
because
time, yeah.
even though it was like well known by that point, it was not consistently known. Like,
yeah,
you know,
and consistently taught. It's probably wasn't in curriculums
Yep.
necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. And it was still common in textbooks for it to be the fake name that they created to kind of hide the family. So
I always forget the textbooks are just simply not updated.
So it's simply not updated. No. So eventually, years later, Skloot stumbled upon a collection of scientific papers from a Hela Cancer Control Symposium held at Morehouse College. She then contacted the organizer of the symposium, Roland Patillo, and asked him, what he knew about Henrietta Lacks. She told him she was writing a book about her, and he quickly told her that the Lacks family would not talk to her because of the difficult time that they had with the press and the Hela cells.
Yeah.
Too excited though that she finally found like a real connection that was that he clearly knew the family, and was asked anyways whether he could put her in contact with her. He said he could, but he wouldn't. So not until he made sure that she was like her intentions were good and that she wouldn't hurt the family further.
I mean, that's nice of him to just want to be protective.
And he did like days of grilling. He basically was like got her on the phone and was like, "What do you know about the Tuskegee event? What do you know about like the forced sterilizations?" He was like, really went through all of it, because he was like, "I can tell by your name and your voice that you are a white woman." And she was like, "Guilty as charged."
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to ask, but I was like, I need to know. Yeah.
So Patillo finally agreed to put Rebecca in contact with Deborah, but he warned that because of the Hela cell lawsuits and all of the press attention and all of these things that happened, Deborah had been recently hospitalized and nearly had a stroke. So he gave her a strict list of guidelines to follow when talking to Deborah, mostly about being compassionate to the woman and not talking down to her, because she hated being talked down to, have patience with her. She also is somewhat deaf, which is like a thing that a lot of the Lacks family has, and it feels like it's a genetic thing that comes from probably two cousins, having kids together, perhaps. Also, there was a lot of the effect of syphilis in like babies and children could lead to
partial deafness.
So that was also a big thing, and they didn't get hearing aids for a very they didn't even get their hearing tested for a very long time. So because they couldn't afford it.
Because they don't have
healthcare. Yeah. So Rebecca thanked him profusely, calling Deborah the next day. At first, Deborah was confused and then cautious, and then she opened up fully. She was like so excited to talk about her mother, and she was excited that somebody was finally wanted to like focus on her mother and not all of this other stuff, and get the real story behind it. So she talked excitedly for about 45 minutes, not taking any breaks at all for Rebecca and Rebecca was just like frantically scribbling things down. That more than anything, she wanted to learn about her mother and what she had done for science. And she never got to know her mother and was desperate for information. So she told Rebecca that she had her work cut out for her. And then she abruptly had to go, telling her that to call her back on Monday. She got some mail in. It was probably a pile of these, of legal documents, and it stressed her out. And she was like, "I gotta go."
Yeah, I can't be doing this.
But then, So Rebecca called back that Monday, but it was like she was talking to a completely different person. So Deborah seemed exhausted, possibly sedated. She said no interviews. If Rebecca wanted to know more, she would have to get permission from her brothers and her father. Then she gave Rebecca their phone numbers and then hung up.
Wow.
And Rebecca wouldn't talk to Deborah again for nearly a year. So she just like followed a very loose path of breadcrumbs that would eventually lead back to her, but she had to like go travel through Henrietta's like entire past first. So she started calling all of those numbers. She started calling all of those numbers, but no one answered. After a few days, someone finally picked up at Henrietta's husband's house. But after eventually being connected with Day, he gave her almost no information and then hung up on her, telling her to leave him alone. after her conversation with Day, Sonny Lacks, one of Henrietta's sons, finally called her back saying that he was tired of seeing her number on his pager. He's like, what do you want? What do you want? He agreed to meet, but once Rebecca made the trip from Pittsburgh to Baltimore, Sonny never showed up at their meeting and didn't return any of her calls. So not wanting to waste the trip, she looked up an old article she had read listing Henrietta's Turner Station address and then decided to go there and start knocking on doors to see,
who's around.
So the article that had the address also quoted a local woman named Courtney Speed and talking about her dream of starting the Henrietta Lacks Museum. So she decided to start at Speed's Grocery. But once she got to Turner Station, she couldn't find it. She couldn't find anything. I mean, even Turner Station itself was like not on a map. Like just there was something that happened.
If you know,
with, like,
you know.
Yeah, it was basically like in every atlas, it was in the crease in the middle, and you could never find it. Was one of those things that were like felt almost like a conspiracy. That was like no one's ever going to find Turner Station.
There's been Turner Station for 25 years.
Yeah, and then you had to go through a like spooky, like gauzy kind of fog, and then you pop in there, and you're like, oh, what do you know about Henrietta Lacks?
Real Widow's Bay situation.
Mm-hmm.
We've only seen the first 2 episodes. I don't actually know.
We enjoyed it.
So far, so good.
So she drove around town for like multiple times, just like looping around, and everybody was like, that crazy white lady. Like, what is she doing?
This insane white lady in a rental Honda. Like,
Eventually, she stopped at the New Shiloh Baptist Church, one of the bigger churches in the middle of the town. And she was just like peering in through the windows. And then like the Reverend just showed up and you're like, how can I help you?
What do you want?
She asked him about Henrietta Lacks, and he was like, I don't know who that is. Never heard of her. Couldn't help you. But then she asked about Speed, and she was like, oh, I know Speed. Yeah, I'll take you on over there.
Yeah.
And took her back to the grocery, which was unmarked. Speed was pretty suspicious of Rebecca at first, demanding to know who sent her, why she was really there, thinking that she was sent by Cofield to weasel more information out of her. So after showing her the like crumpled up article that it was like, I'm looking to learn more about Henrietta Lacks. Your name is here. I don't know what to tell you. She got Speed then was like, she got a little nicer, but she was basically like, I can't tell you anything unless you get approval from the family, because like I think Courtney Speed really did I don't know. She really was motivated to like the Henrietta Lacks Museum was a passion project that she like still kind of held on up to this point where Rebecca was talking to her and like really wanted the world to know more about Henrietta, but also like because of the Cofield thing, she was like on such rocky ground with the family that she was like unwilling to kind of risk it at all. So the one thing that she did do was give her a copy of the BBC documentary made about Henrietta that Rebecca had been trying to find for months but couldn't find. So
I didn't realize it was. I mean, I guess it's before the internet.
Yeah,
really is
and
showing movies.
So she basically was like, took her to a place where she could watch the movie. Was like, watch it 2 times, leave that movie in there. You write down your notes and then get out of here.
Okay.
So. The documentary interviewed a lot of Henrietta's family, including her cousins. So since the immediate family wouldn't talk to her, Rebecca decided to go to Clover and meet the cousins.
Sure.
So she's, dozens of cousins. So she's really like doing like an odyssey to make her way back.
It's a lot of legwork.
So Henrietta's cousin Cliff took her to the home house. She was like, "Oh, you want to know about Henrietta? We'll go to the home house." And it took her to the grave. He told her that the exact grave was unmarked. She knew she was buried near her mother, so she was like somewhere roughly around here. But from Cliff, Rebecca learned that basically the whole family history, and she continued to kind of come back to Clover multiple times, talking to different members of the family, really like kind of
putting in the work,
learning as much as possible. Every few days, she would send, like, whenever she left Clover, she would send Deborah messages telling her about what she had learned. She was like, "Hey, I'm in Clover. I met your cousin." She says, "Hey,
smart.
These are the things that I learned about your mother. Isn't that cool?
Interesting.
Partially to lure Deborah back, but I think partially also to like as a show of goodwill and a show.
Yeah,
of, like,
it's like I promise.
I am trying to
I
learn
have good
about your mother.
intentions. Yeah.
So Eventually, after nearly a year of silence, Deborah called her back, abruptly saying, "Fine, I'll talk to you." 2 conditions she had. One is that she needed to make sure that everybody knew who Henrietta Lacks was, convincing everyone that the Helen was made up and have them like never speak that name again. And 5 children, not 4. And Rebecca needed to help Deborah find out what happened to her older sister. She ended the call by saying, "Get ready, girl. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into."
Whew. I'm going to start ending every phone call like that.
Get
ready, girl.
Yeah,
You
that'll
have
be
no
fun.
idea.
That'll be fun. I'm assuming all of our phone conversations will end that way too.
Yeah, get ready, girl.
I love that.
No idea what you get yourself into.
But yeah, because her older sister had been like kind of committed pretty young.
Yeah,
like a lot of
this
people didn't
sounds
know about it. Like
I
they didn't even Deborah didn't even know she had an older sister until she saw it in the medical records,
fuck.
which is like crazy. So
This woman,
I know she's
Ruth
Yeah.
Stoof.
yeah, she's been through a lot, but yeah, she's a tough lady. So Deborah and Rebecca finally met in person Deborah and Rebecca finally met in person in Baltimore. Rebecca brought a small gift with her. She had been talking to Johns Hopkins researcher named Christoph Langhauer, who had read one of Rebecca's articles and contacted her. He said that he'd been working with Hela cells his entire life and couldn't get the story out of his mind. As a student, he had developed a technique called fluorescence in situ hybridization, aka FISH, which is FISH is way easier to say.
Yeah.
So scientists would apply fluorescent dyes to different chromosomes, and then they would shine brightly under ultraviolet light. This allowed scientists to better see what happened inside each chromosome, but from the untrained eye, it just looked very pretty. It was, so Langhauer had used FISH on some Hela cells and then sent photos of the chromosomes to Rebecca as kind of like a piece of art to be like, if you meet the family, give this to the family.
Yeah.
This is a thing
Pass
I want
this
them
along.
to have. So Deborah excitedly examined the gift, wondering about how beautiful it was, and was like very excited to have this as a piece of her mother. So they started talking. Deborah's understanding of what happened to her mother was a mix of good information with a flair of science fiction and like kind of her own interpretations of what she was hearing in the news. So just like we talked about earlier, where like once she learned that her mother's cells were alive, like anything kind of became possible. So like, and a lot of these news articles were like flashy and like misleading and kind of confusing. So she had heard of British scientists cloning Hela cells and believed that meant that like there were just hundreds of copies of her mother walking around London at all times.
Oh my!
And was kind of talking to Rebecca a lot about all of this stuff. And then when Rebecca was like, "That's not what happened," then like she showed her all of the reasons why she believed that it was true and was like, "You're the naive one."
Wow.
Which like I totally support and understand where she's coming from.
Wow.
But
it just shows the level of like confusion and like
and like how little information that like
was given.
This is all of these other reporters. There were some of them that gave the family some information, but like Rebecca was like, "Oh God, like we gotta like."
Yeah.
Try to give you as much of this stuff as you can and kind of help interpret it all. But there was also like Deborah heard about the splicing between like animals, like the mice man, and the plant cells and all of this other stuff, and was like, oh God, there's like weird monsters out there that are half my mother, and like that she got shot into space, and that she was like given all of these illnesses.
What's that movie? I didn't see it, so maybe I'm completely incorrect. But Mickey 17.
Yeah,
like they've Mickey 17'd her.
Yeah,
and she just thinks her mom is
yeah.
experiencing pain every day.
Yep. That is not out of the realm of possibilities for what Deborah was worried about.
Envisioning.
And like she also like was worried that even though her like mother was not alive, that she could still feel this stuff happening to her, because like Deborah and the whole family is very religious, and they like have an interpretation of the way that like, her mother embodies, her spirit kind of embodies this whole story. Because like we talked about, there were a lot of moments that are like really weirdly coincidental. Like the one reporter, his like car breaking down on the way in, and like him almost dying, his like all of his records being burned, the like Hela contamination, the Turner station being like hidden from the world. Like all of this stuff is like, they're like, this is like, don't turn your back on Henrietta because she's a tough lady and she'll get you. But it's just like a lot of that kind of stuff where she did have some very, very good and factual information, but then a lot of like worries and fears that were really kind of blown up because she didn't really have anybody to bounce her ideas off of because her brothers were not like her brothers and her father really didn't want to talk about it anymore. They were like, we've heard enough. We don't want any more of this. Like unless you're talking about us getting money from these people that took from us, then that's all I want. So it's just kind of like an echo chamber of she's learning more things, but only little pieces of it. So, so slowly but surely over the years that this is happening, the like distrust between the like fits of distrust between the women start decreasing. The two got very, very close. Like Deborah used to call her like my researcher, and whenever like one of the other family members would talk to me, were like, "Don't you try to take my my reporter? She's with
mine.
me."
She's my
and
friend.
then sometimes they would go out together. Like I don't think ever actually, but Deborah refused to like ride in the same car with her because she was still like part of her was still worried that she was going to get like kidnapped or something.
Oh wow!
So they would always drive in separate cars,
wherever they were going,
behind each other wherever they were going. But every now and then she would show up like dressed like Rebecca wore a lot of black, and she would like Deborah would show up and she was like all in black and was like, "Look, I got my reporter uniform on. Let's go find some news." And I was like,
go be buddies.
I love this lady. Rebecca took Deborah and her brother Zachariah. So his name, he changed his name from Joe to Zachariah after that kid. He was the.
Did they? It's pronounced.
It is because it's written.
Oh right, you listen to your books.
Yeah,
I was like, are you sure?
But no. And it's very specific that it's Zachariah because a lot of people try to call him Zachariah.
Yeah,
and he was like, that is not my name.
Huh.
And he changed his name specifically. He was like, he took on, he had a very tough life. He was got into a lot of fights young. He was the youngest child. So the son that was born while Henrietta like had the cancer kind of growing. And got in a lot of fights as a kid, and then went off to like fight in the war, and then was dismissed because he was too violent, and then got home.
Wow.
He ended up killing someone and then going to jail.
Oh wow.
And then getting out. It was like that. The man that he killed was threatening to kill him, but it was pretty premeditated and kind of.
Oh boy.
Anyways, the whole family, all of the children had a very, very hard life, and he kind of turned a lot of things around while in prison. Once he got out of jail, he was much more more measured, but he was still prone to aggression. So like the Rebecca and Deborah, like they brought her over to meet Zachariah, and like it was tense, and the multiple times that they talked, it was hard. It was clearly like he did not trust her and did not want to trust her. But this trip was actually kind of a turning point for them because Rebecca took Deborah and her brother to Johns Hopkins to meet Christopher Langhauer and see her mother's cells in person. So that was another thing Langhauer had kind of offered, was like, hey, I'd like to show them Hela, and I'd like them to see it. So, and he was the one that made that the kind of picture of the chromosomes under the fluorescent light. So they went there and like saw they went there and just got to see what was left of their mother and see how it was used and really kind of talk about it and see all of the different
I think they're back.
Things.
I heard a bebe.
Yeah. So he also told Deborah and Zachariah that he believed that Johns Hopkins had screwed up. He thought that they should have never hid the origin of the cells, that they deserved a piece of the profits, and that he worked at Johns Hopkins. He worked at Johns Hopkins, who didn't own any of the rights to Hela, but he still believed that the massive biotech companies that owned the Lacks, owed the Lacks family money for their contribution. So, he also assured both children that he knew what caused Henrietta's cancer and that it wasn't genetic based, that it was caused by the, multiple variations of HPV, and that they didn't need to worry about getting the same cancer that killed their mother. And that was like a huge relief because Deborah was constantly worried that she was just gonna
that makes sense.
like all of a sudden, turn around and have the same cancer. So her blood pressure once again spiked, and she was like sent back to the hospital worrying that she would have a stroke. So then Rebecca had to kind of do a lot of the research from that point on by herself, but she just kept calling back and like giving Deborah more updates and more information. So, Deborah was asked to speak at a really big convention that was going to honor her mother, and like again, it was another place was like I think it was maybe nationally trying to become a Henrietta Lacks Day, or at least at bigger communities. I don't remember exactly, but that was like her doctors were really worried about the speech, but Deborah felt very passionately about.
Yeah, she was like, "I'm going to make this speech."
And that speech was scheduled for September 11th, 2001.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So,
needless to say,
the speech did not happen. The convention was postponed and indefinitely.
Woof.
And that was a big kind of a blow for Deborah. She was really depressed about it. But it also again, it's just like this story feels like a Forrest Gump. It's just like everything is connected.
That could happen
it's like,
is happening.
It's crazy.
Is connected. And if you wrote it as a movie, you'd be like, that's not real.
Yeah.
But it is real.
Yeah. So sadly, on the Sunday morning, 5 days after the 9/11 attack, Deborah went to church to pray at a conference Deborah went to church to pray that the conference that she was going to speak at was going to be rescheduled. And then during the sermon, she slumped in the pew and was unable to move her arm. So the worried about stroke happened. She ended up living for another 10 years. But she was,
not going on adventures anymore.
Yeah, not going on adventures anymore. But eventually, again, 9 years after the stroke, she finally succumbed to complications related to a heart attack in May of 2009. She died at 59 years old.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's far too early.
Yes. But to some extent, she did get to see, her mother's name,
I'm glad that she met Rebecca. I'm glad that they had
that
this relationship.
It really felt like something that needed to happen for.
If she could have found any peace or any trust, that's
the. Sadly, so Rebecca finished the book, sent her a copy. And she couldn't really read well in general, but couldn't read especially because of the aftermath of the stroke that well. And Rebecca was like, "Just wait, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna read it to you."
Yeah.
And she was making the trip, trying to figure out how to do the trip, and Deborah wasn't calling her back, and it had turned out that she had passed away.
I hate.
Yeah, I know, but though the author, I guess because of ethics, was barred from giving any profits directly to the subject of her books, she did start a Henrietta Lacks Foundation to help pay for the education and living expenses for Henrietta's grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
That's really beautiful.
So some of the proceeds, and the book was sold very well and is continuing to sell pretty well. But a portion of the proceeds are still going to help pay for to this foundation for the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. A movie was eventually produced by HBO, released in 2017, based on Rebecca's book, starring Oprah Winfrey as Deborah Lacks.
I knew that Oprah was starring in it, and I was really confused this whole time because I didn't know she was Deborah, and I was like, Henrietta died at the very old, you pointed out, age of 31. So I was like, how is she? You were like, oh my God, she was on death's door anyway. I don't know why we're telling the story. She was already 31.
That's a huge mischaracterization of what happened.
Well, you did say she was old. So I was just confused because Oprah is not 31.
Right.
But it makes sense that she was Deborah.
I'm not sure who else is. I definitely want to watch the movie because I'm interested, but it was, I have not watched it yet, so we'll get into it at some point. So the movie was produced in 2017. Once again, the family was not able to get direct profits from the movie, but 3 of the remaining sons were hired by the movie as paid consultants, so they got a little bit of money there.
A little bit.
And then Rebecca donated a large portion of her profits from the movie, once again, to the Henrietta Lacks Foundation to further, help pay and fund. 2021, the Henrietta Lacks Enhancing Cancer Research Act was signed into law.
Enhancing cancer
That's
research. Right. Important last word.
Research. Yeah,
Enhancing
no, they were not
cancer
enhancing
is-
cancer. No, Enhancing Cancer Research Act was passed into law. The law was mostly just a federal acknowledgement of Henrietta's contribution, but also included directions for Government Accountability Office to specifically look at the barriers for minorities in participating in cancer studies, like in experimental cancer studies, to help further science on minority health. So, a lot of people, like if you're wealthy enough or if you have the right connections and like all other paths have failed, you're able to like get into some of these experimental test
Right.
groups, which like is a crapshoot because it could be.
But if you want
horribly
to take that
painful, it could be
risk
bad.
and
You
it
wanna take
could
that risk.
have good results.
However, a lot of minorities were barred from being able to be a part of that. So this act was specifically, helping kind of realign and give opportunities for, possibly life-saving treatments for these people. So in October of 2021, the Lacks estate began a legal battle with a landmark case against a biotechnical company called Thermo Fisher Scientific Inc. out of Massachusetts.
Hey there. Remember that?
On the idea of the suit was based on the idea of unjust enrichment, saying that the initial cells were taken without her consent, and therefore any profit made based off of that genetic material was unjustly obtained. The case eventually settled out of court in 2023. The Lacks estate quickly got to work with their next case on the same grounds against a Swiss pharmaceutical company called Novartis and the global healthcare corp Viartis. Sorry,
I mean,
if I'm not
people are
naming that
definitely
right,
going to
but
be using this
they got to
information
know
to
for
file
the
court
for the book
cases,
reports. So many
and
book reports.
We are the primary source. So make sure you get all these details right.
So both of those companies also settled out of court in 2026, and there's currently an ongoing lawsuit against Ultragenyx.
That sounds like the company that made Jurassic
Pharmaceuticals?
Park.
Yeah, you can look it up too. It'll be fine if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine. So in the U.S. District Court of Baltimore, and I feel like this is just the beginning. I think they're going to continue kind of going after some of these people, and the family is getting money, and it's probably all, or at least for the most part, I bet some of it is going back to the still living relatives that are there, but a lot of it is probably going into this foundation to hopefully really help the descendants of the Lacks family.
Yeah.
Kind of go forward. So. This, I'm very excited that this is happening because if in one way, it's unfortunate that it isn't like going all the way through the court process to create new precedent and create new law. But it does signal a shift in
The tone and the
and the fact that like these are the pharmaceutical companies are caving like they are means that they know that their time is numbered. So
again,
it's like,
if you're hiding what you're doing, you might know it's a bad thing.
you might know it's a
Maybe
bad
you
thing,
shouldn't
so
be
maybe
doing
you
it.
shouldn't do it. So, hopefully, if this keeps going forward, eventually we can kind of make some real litigation kind of covering and protecting people's like genetic, makeup and identity and their genetic matter if it's going to be used in a commercial venture or because capitalism do be taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
there you go.
We
only,
did it.
12 hours worth of podcasting for a 15-hour book. I'm sorry,
I was gonna
everybody.
say, I feel like we might have surpassed, but I guess we're just a little bit under.
Yeah. No, because I listened. It's like a 12-hour book at 1.75 speed because I'm a psychopath.
I hate that.
I was listening at 3.5 speed for a little while.
No.
Yeah, because I had to get those names.
No. Bad. Somebody.
I'm gonna get better at researching
teach
one day.
Danny about bread.
Or if anybody wants to be a loved but modestly compensated researcher to help us out until we start making more money, that would be great.
That would be so helpful. Yeah. But that's the story. Next week we will get into my series on the potato famine. We've already spoiled that, I believe.
Yeah. I think, unless we spoiled. No, I think we spoiled it in the fourth
officially
episode.
spoiled it.
I don't remember. Maybe that 5-minute blurb from the time the first 3 times we tried to record this.
This episode and this series feels like it's what we've been doing for the past 17 years.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I've had a lot to think about. I have a lot of anxious feelings in my tummy about a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Just because everybody in this story is anxious and sad and needs self-care.
And some of it hits a little closer to home than we would have really loved.
Than we would have liked. So
yeah.
Next
one, I'm going to try to do something that is more, less medical
women dying.
related. Yeah, just more people getting hot coffee burns. I think something of the like.
That was an old lady who got 3rd-degree burns.
I know. And I want people to know more
Still
about
a bummer.
it. Still, I want people to know more about
like
it.
It's not a
Are
bummer.
you sure she's old? Maybe she was in her 30s.
She's in her 80s. I think.
I don't know. I'm going to find out more soon.
We're going to find out more. But next week,
we're
back to me.
Yeah.
Watch out, world.
A crisp, a tighter
Get ready to
series
tighter
here.
information and more puns.
Yes. That's what the people want.
Is it?
I don't know.
We don't know. The people don't really tell us much.
Yeah. They've been telling us more, though, which we really appreciate. And getting those emails are a highlight of our days. So
EatTheRichPod@gmail.com.
Thanks.
But yeah, that's it, I think.
Catch you next week.
Yeah, we're back. We took that little break. We're back.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your patience. And gals and theys and thems. Nailed it.
Nailed it. I'm the most inclusive person in the world. Good golly, Miss Molly, we gotta stop.
Yeah, we gotta.
This
we're
is
done.
the
We're done now.
Epi. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening, and a big thanks to Carsey Blanton for the theme music. You can follow the podcast everywhere at YeetTheRichPod. You can email us your suggestions for future episodes at YeetTheRichPod@gmail.com. You can follow me at TheFunnyWalsh, and you can follow Danny at DMoss315. See you next week.